Hello everybody and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are going to be talking about the final day of the $2 million Saudi Arabia LAN. It is the final day of the build tournament and oh my, things got very interesting. So let's get into it. Start off with the most important part obviously of the tournament is who actually won in the end, and it was given to EpikWhale and Malibuca, who ended the tournament with a very impressive 359 points in total. Now it was a star-studded finish towards the end of the tournament. Towards the final two games, there was about 20 points between first and fifth place, and going to the last game, it was 3 points between the top three. It was a battle between EpikWhale and Malibuca, Cami and Setty, and zAndy and Chapix. Now zAndy and Chapix just came hot off of a back-to-back win, and it was super close. And Malibuca and EpikWhale in the end took it and got the victory with a very impressive second place and 6 kills in the last game to secure it, to win by just 10 points in total. So if they didn't get those kills, if they didn't get second place, they probably wouldn't have won it, and zAndy and Chapix would have taken it in the end. Now the day 2 was equally as impressive overall compared to the day 1. They had a bit of a slow start in day number 1, but day 2 was insane, having a 7 kill win in the first game to start off the day, a 6 kill 11th, a 2 kill 7th, a 3 kill 6th, a 6 kill 8th, and then finally rounding it off with a 6 kill second to win the tournament. Now the reaction was very good from the winners, as it should be when you win a tournament of this caliber, and I'm very happy to see EpikWhale and Malibuca fighting it out and winning the tournament. Now Malibuca obviously was there to prove something in this tournament. I think a lot of people saw him as a player that was only good on online so far. We haven't seen much of him on LAN, and finally he did it and got himself $125,000 extra in earnings, basically tying that. But that is not all. He also got himself the MVP of the tournament, essentially getting himself another $100,000 on top of the $50,000 from the no-build tournament as well, to round off the tournament with a very impressive $275,000 in earnings in total just from that weekend. So it's not a bad tournament for him to come through. He's essentially 4x his earnings in one weekend, and I'm sure he's very happy to hear that as well. The final thing I want to say about EpikWhale and Malibuca, I don't think many people thought they were going to win the tournament. Obviously, two very competent and fundamentally strong players coming in, but you know, you're going to have language barriers, you're going to have that chemistry lacking, but it just goes to show that if you put two very strong players together who have really good fundamentals, then maybe that is the key to doing well in Fortnite. Just put these two very strong players together, have them work together, have them find some games, some chemistry, and that's the key to doing well at a LAN tournament. Now, it makes me excited to see what can be in store in the future for Malibuca, possibly if we go to trios or squads or maybe duos again in the next year. Is he going to transfer over to another English speaking duo or trio or something like that? Because that really opens up the possibilities of what he wants to do in the future and the possibilities of future FNCS wins. But he still has Mersash to play with in duos in the future, and Mersash is no slouch either, and they're coming in with a very good chance to win the next FNCS as well. So it should be interesting to see how this LAN performance sort of drives the way for him to do well in this FNCS. Maybe gives him extra confidence. Mersash also did very well in this tournament, getting 7th place, so them together here could be a very deadly duo going into the grand finals in a few weeks. Now, we talked about Cami and Setty yesterday being one of the best duos with insane consistency, and the question is, what happened in day number 2? They ended up in 3rd place with a total of 338 points overall, which is, you know, 21 points behind the pace of Malibuca and EpikWhale. So they went into the tournament yesterday with a lead of about 35 points, and since then they lost it. And unfortunately, it was a bit of a combination of unluckiness and a reliance on the grapplers that we saw. So going into game number 7, they had themselves an okay game. Unfortunately, they got caught out early on into the mid game by a bad zone, and unfortunately they got killed by Malibuca, funnily enough, on that rotation. Game number 8, they ended up in 36th place, and that was a unfortunate position for them because they basically prioritized their grapplers. So in game number 7, they didn't end up getting their grapplers, which affected their rotates. Game number 8, they prioritized their grappler because that is what they wanted for the mid-game rotates, and that's going to put you in a very good spot overall. Unfortunately, because they prioritized those grapplers, it ended up meaning that their loop path was basically run in by another duo. They were hiding inside of the gas station. They got caught lacking and they got killed in 36th place as well. So a bunch of what happened here may have been a result of rocky views, the situation over there changing, because that's where they got their grapplers from usually, and they're trying to adapt to that situation. So those 2 games in the end were the problem and what caused them to lose this tournament. Game number 9, they got themselves a 7-kill second. Game number 10, they got themselves a 2-kill 9th. Game number 11, they got themselves a 2-kill 12th. And game number 12, they got themselves a 2-kill 6th. So they did pretty well to catch up in the final 4 games, but those 2 games to start off just were not good enough. And that is the difference between winning a tournament and not winning a tournament. The other team I want to talk about very quickly is Hellfire and Trippern. They came into the day in 2nd place, just behind Cami and Setty, and they ended the tournament in 13th place in total. Unfortunately for them, they ended on 238 points, and that's mainly because they were contested a lot more today in that mid-map area. The day before, they were contested just a little bit by a Middle Eastern duo. Unfortunately though, for them, this time they lost a bunch of mid-map fights. Another team came into the fray, and it was a bit of a mess. They had a very solid performance to start in day number 1, and it does show you the potential of this duo, possibly in the future if Hellfire and Flows doesn't work out, maybe Trippern and Thomas doesn't work out. We could see these guys come back together, but unfortunate stuff in the LAN to be contested. The last team I want to mention very quickly is Chapix and zAndy. Absolutely amazing stuff from them. They came through hot with 2 back-to-back wins. The zones were all to the south though, near Sign-Up Station, and you know that doesn't take away anything from the win, because you know you have to make use of the zones that you get, and they did by far. One of the only teams, or I think the only team, to win a back-to-back game in this tournament, and rounding it off with an insane 2nd place performance as a field duo, right? These guys, they played together before, they didn't play together anymore. They're not playing together this FNCS. Chapix playing with Tayson, zAndy playing with Joe, and you know, honestly impressive stuff. So funnily enough, top 2 in this tournament were a field duo, and then Cami and Setty in 3rd, and then Alex and Scram again a field duo, Hen and Queasy again a field duo, ThomasHD Tayson again a field duo, Bassap and Mersash again a field duo. So all of these field duos coming through together and doing super well, meaning that the level of the EU guys as individuals fundamentally is just so damn high to put themselves high in the leaderboard, even if they're not playing with their actual duo. So very impressive stuff from them all around. The last thing I want to mention for the winning side is Dalkin and Malfin, who had this very wholesome reaction after winning the last game. They were one of the only few regions other than Europe and the Malibuca EpikWhale combination to actually win a game in the tournament, other than Polga and Lalia, who won in the no-build tournament, and their reaction was just great to see. And it was great to see the Asia representation for one actually doing well. Shout out to Dalkin and Malfin. They got themselves a nice little 14th place performance, which is a bunch of money. They got themselves about $5,000 each from that tournament, which is pretty impressive considering you need to place top 8 in the Asia FNCS just to get that money. So I'm sure they were very happy with that, plus the earnings that they got from the no-build tournament. It was a pretty successful weekend for the boys. So let's talk about Tayson now. Tayson, obviously this tournament coming in as someone that wants to prove himself. Probably not too much, but a lot of people were talking down on him, obviously, after a very slow start. Yesterday they came back in the last 4 games, and today they also had an insane run in this tournament. They ended overall in 6th place, and they had the chance to win going to the last game as well, but they required a big game, maybe 25 to 35 points in total behind 1st place at that point. In day number 2, they got themselves a 7-kill second, a 7-kill third, and then they died us spawn against the Middle Eastern duo of Cal. That was something that was a little bit surprising in this situation, because you know, obviously 2 of the EU's finest fighters, finest players, one of the best, losing against a Middle Eastern duo. We wouldn't have thought that would have happened, but fair play to Cal and his duo. They came through, and you know, they were considered one of the best fighters in Middle East, according to my chat, according to people on Twitter that I spoke to. So they showed up and they killed them twice on spawn in game number 10, and then game number 12, the final game, in order to win the tournament. And you know, you beat 2 of the best players in the world out spawn. You know, that definitely requires some sort of commendation for those guys. So fair play to them. In the end, ThomasHD Tayson 6th place. Not a bad performance as a field duo. Definitely had a chance. They were playing like a world-class duo. So, you know, we're getting sprinkles of what used to be when they played duos together. But unfortunately, not good enough in this instant because of the spawn situation. And 6th place was pretty decent though. The last thing that I want to talk about is Aqua and Veno. And unfortunately for them at this performance, definitely under expectation. But, you know, it was to do with them being contested off spawn as well. Arkham and Falconer landing on them in the last few games in day number 1. Day number 2 landing on them every single time as well, and ending up in 12th place. 12th place isn't a bad performance by any means, but obviously definitely not what you wanted to come after, you know, winning World Cup as the last LAN for Aqua here. So definitely unexpected and disappointing for them. In the meantime, while being contested, they lost out on the grapplers to Janice and Canada over at Greasy side. So, you know, that's expected that they're not going to do as well from an edge drop spot. They did get free surge a bunch of times. I don't think they lost the spawn too often against Falconer, especially in day number 2. I believe they won almost every single spawn fight except for the last few where they got third party by Janice and Canada, and you know, what can you do in that point? So very unfortunate stuff for them. But as a result, we saw some Twitter interaction happening between Aqua and Veno, immediately tweeting about the tournament happening. Start off with an Aqua tweet that has since been deleted, talking about Aqua milking his tournament, losing out on 100k. He had an interaction with Archie on Twitter as well, talking about how annoying he is or something like that, and even saying that he was a nobody before he started playing with him, which is a little bit harsh, I have to say, because, you know, Veno has made a name for himself recently. It wasn't before Aqua played with him as well. I think in the end, you know, these are things that come out with emotion after someone's playing a tournament. We talked about it with the Click situation when he got landed on by Pink and Anas. Obviously, when you're a competitor, you want to do the best. You're in the heat of the moment. You're trying to win a tournament, and, you know, emotions flare. And these tweets, I think, they'll probably regret them later on because that's not the true intention, and they're just angry at the specific moment as well. So a bit unfortunate for that to end, because we definitely expected the former FNCS winners of last season to come in hot, and for it to end this way, unfortunately, is just a painful thing to see as a competitor and a spectator of the game overall. Veno responded on Twitter as well and just said he's a young adult, he's not going to tweet anything, which is the more mature option at this point. But, you know, obviously on both ends, there has to be a little bit of something for there to be an argument. So I don't know the full story, but just wanted to show you guys what exactly happened on Twitter between the two. And more than likely, if this develops even further, we won't be seeing an Aqua Veno return. Maybe, maybe not, but they've had their fair share of issues in the past. At some point, famously, Aqua muting Veno in a tournament, stuff like that. I'm not really sure how much there is to the truth to that. If they worked through that as well in the past, I'm sure they could do it in the future as well, if they ever do plan on playing together after this FNCS, and if Aqua makes a return after his wrists heal a little bit. So I'm interested to see what comes of that situation. And that was pretty much it from the tournament. Overall, I think the tournament was really, really good. It was some of the funnest viewing experiences I've ever had in Fortnite history. I think the FNCS will feel a little bit empty without the interviews and the LAN experience, but it should be a good tournament regardless. We're going into it with a bunch of big boy duos coming through, and anyone could really win after this tournament. So who knows who's going to be winning the FNCS. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do. Give it a like, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.